Okay, let's open a new Illustrator document. We'll go into the File menu to Open, and let's open L7start.ai. Click Open, and we'll go into the View menu to Fit All in Window, and we see we've got two artboards in this document. Let's go into the Window menu to Workspace, and this time let's choose Typography. And we'll look at the panels over here on the right, and we see we've got the Character panel, and the Paragraph panel, and the Open Type panel. And then below that we've got Character Styles and the Paragraph Styles panel. So we've got a bunch of panels related to type, and the typography workspace is a good one to use if you're going to have lots of type in your document. Let's go above that and look at the Swatches panel. We've got some swatches already made for us. If we click on the Swatches panel menu, we can go to Small List View, and now we see both the swatches and also a name for each swatch. And we'll go down here to the bottom and see to the Layers panel. We see we've got 4 layers in the Layers panel. And we'll go way back to the top up here and see the Color panel and the Color Guide panel. Then docked to the left of those are some other panels. We've got the Glyphs panel here, and the Glyphs panel essentially shows us the entire character set, all the characters in one particular font, one typeface. And then below that we've got the Flash Text panel, and this allows us to export text from Illustrator to Flash. And below that we've got another group of panels. We've got the Stroke panel, and then the Gradient panel, and the Transparency panel. And below that another group, the Appearance panel, and the Graphic Styles panel. Okay, I'm going to hold down the Option key and spacebar, or the Alt key and spacebar, to temporarily get my grabber hand, and I'm just going to move the artboards to the right there and come over here to the Tools panel. So if I click and hold on the Type tool, I see that we've got Hidden Tools, and I'm going to move all the way out to the right here to the vertical bar and release the mouse and tear off that toolbar. So now we've got a floating toolbar with the 6 type tools we have in Illustrator. And let's just look at each one real quickly. First we've got the horizontal type tool, and then the horizontal area type tool, and the horizontal type on a path tool. Then we've got some vertical tools, the vertical type tool, and the vertical area type tool, and the vertical type on a path tool. So 6 tools. And in Illustrator there are 3 different kinds of text that you can have. You can have point text, area text, or type on a path. And in order to get point text, let's just grab our horizontal type tool and click once. When we click once with the type tool, we create a point, and then we start typing. Okay, so now I've got type emanating from that point where we clicked. It's moving. And if we get the black arrow selection tool, I can see that the type has a bounding box around it. And if I get the white arrow, the direct selection tool, I can clearly see the point at the very beginning where we clicked. So this is point text. And if I come up here to the control panel, to the right of the paragraph panel, and we go to the Align features, we click on Align Center, and come back down here, we see the point has moved to the center now, and we go back up to click on Align Right, and now we see the point has moved to the far right in our point text. So that's how paragraph alignment works. I'm going to go back and click on the Align Left again. Now the type would just continue from that point where we clicked forever until we hit the return key in order to make another line of type. So point text is good for headlines or just small amounts of text. So now we're going to click away to deselect, and I don't have to select the horizontal area type tool in order to make area type. In this case, all I have to do is choose the regular horizontal type tool, and I'm going to click and drag in order to make a text frame. And so the text will go inside that frame. So I'll click and drag and make a text frame and then start typing. So we see that when I get to the right side of the text frame, the text automatically wraps, and we create new lines of text. And if we go back and get the black arrow, the selection tool, we see the bounding box, and we can click on the handles in the bounding box in order to change the shape of the text frame. And when we open it up, the text inside rewraps, and if we close it up and make it narrower, the text inside rewraps. So the line breaks change as we change the width of the text frame. Now I'm going to click away and deselect, and now we're going to create the third kind of text. First we made point text, and then we made area text, and now we're going to make type on a path. So first I'll create a path. I'll go get the pen tool, and I'm going to click and drag and click and drag and click and drag just to make a curved path. And I see it's trying to fill with color, so I'm going to come over here to the Tools panel at the bottom and click on the None symbol so it no longer tries to fill with color. And I don't need a stroke either, because when we turn this path to type on a path, the stroke on the path would disappear anyway, and we would be left only with a type. So I'm going to come up here and click on the Type on a Path tool, and I'm going to go back down to the path I created, and I'm just going to hover over the path until that little lightning bolt that goes across the type cursor intersects with the path, and then I'm going to click. And then when I start typing, that type moves along the path that I drew. So that's type on a path, and I can highlight that path, that type on a path, and just do Command A or Control A to select all, and I can use the same alignment features there. I can go to center align or right align, and the same is true in the area type. So I'll just click in the text frame that I drew, do Command A or Control A and select all that, and I can change the alignment inside the text frame. I'll go back and get my black arrow. Okay, so those are the three kinds of text available in Illustrator: point text, and area text, and type on a path. So I'm just going to marquee those. I'll click and drag with the black arrow around those. I will use that technique to select all of those objects and then hit the delete key. Okay, now moving over here to the poster, I'm going to hold down my Command key and spacebar, or the Control key and spacebar, in order to zoom in to the lower left-hand corner of the poster. And we're just going to get the horizontal type tool, and then we're going to click right above the feet of that character, and we're going to go ahead and just type the website. The email address. So we'll just type in info@transformyoga.com, and we're making point text. Point that just goes from the point, type that just goes from the point where we clicked. So now if we come over here to the character panel, on the right hand side, we'll go to the character panel, we can see that the font is Myriad Pro regular, and the point size is 12 point. Let's now scroll up. So I'm just going to scroll up until I see these other figures, and so now we're at the top of the poster, and I'm going to deselect, go to the Select menu to deselect, make sure I have my horizontal type tool selected, and this time I'm going to make area text. So I'll click and drag with the type tool, and I'm going to type the address for the yoga place, 100 Lombard Avenue West, Washington. Okay, so since we drew a text frame, the text automatically broke when it hit the right hand side of the text frame. And if I go back and get my black arrow, my selection tool, once again I can change the width of the text frame by pushing and pulling on the handle on the right there. So that's how we can adjust text inside a text frame. And if you notice, in the text frame we have two other boxes besides the 8 handles. We have 8 handles. We have 4 in each corner, 1 in each corner, and we have 1 on each side, but we also have two additional boxes in a text frame. And on the left here, on the very left hand side, that's the import, where type would be imported into that text frame. And if we look over here on the very right, we see another little box, and that's the out port. And if we were to link the text from this text frame to another text frame, we would click on that little out port and then click on another text frame, or click and drag to create another text frame. Okay, I'm going to go into the select menu to deselect, and go to the view menu to fit artboard in window. So now we can see our entire poster, and we have some guidelines down here for some text. So I'm going to hold down the Command key and spacebar, or Control key and spacebar, and zoom in to the lower part of the poster on the right here. We see the guidelines. I'm going to click on my horizontal type tool, and then I'm going to click and drag inside the guidelines right here in order to make a text frame. There. Now once I've drawn that text frame, I can import text from another document, from a Word document or a text file, and import that into this text frame that I just drew. So I'm going to go into the File menu to Place. So we'll go File, Place, and inside the Lesson 7 folder, we're going to look for the L7 copy.txt. So that's a text file, and we're going to click Place. And when we get the text import options, we see that we have various options based on the fact that it's a text file that we're importing, a .txt file that we're importing. If we were importing a Word document, we'd have other options. So these are just various ways to affect the appearance of the text before we finish importing it. But we're just going to go ahead and click OK. And now we see that text has been imported into that text frame that we drew. And now we can start modifying or styling the type inside that text frame. First, let's get our black arrow, the selection tool, and once again we see the bounding box, and if we wanted to change it there, the width or the size of the bounding box, we could, but we're going to leave it to conform to the guidelines. And we're going to go into the Type menu to Area Type Options. So we have a text frame, we're using Area Type, and if we go to the Area Type Options, we see some ways that we can modify the text inside that text frame. And we're just actually going to change one thing. In the columns area, I'm going to click on the word number in order to highlight that field, and then I'm going to put in the number 2, and we're just going to go ahead and click OK, and now we have created 2 columns inside one text frame.